Chapter 510 of Fairy Tail brings some big questions for us, and especially with what the identity of what exactly E.N.D is inside of Natsu's body and what it is that lurks inside of it. Recent chapter of Fairy Tail discussed a ton of things about Natsu's history, especially finally revealing his mother and father. We finally got to see them for the first time, seeing the actual dragon that took over and destroy the entirety of Natsu's village and his family and his loved ones, and then even seeing that, you know, throughout all of this, Zeref just did this to his brother. He just generally cared. Like, tireless, like, research, you know, was able to finally resurrect him, and, like, his very last, like, demon, like, you know, just his perfect creation, E.N.D, and finding out what exactly the Dragon Soul Ceremony actually was in the series. But the most interesting part for me, especially of that chapter, was not only finding out about Natsu's mother and father, but was what Sting said around when he was inside his consciousness. Natsu's mind made up a consciousness as Sting, and he was telling him that inside of his heart, and that we're going to arrive at an answer of what this thing is exactly, and the true identity of what it is that lurks inside Natsu's body. Now the question is, what is this exactly? And this video is going to be talking about, and mainly two of the theories that I'm going to be going over, and the first one I'm going to be doing is the one that's a lot more viable to actually know what the identity is, and the first one is Ankhseram himself. Now, just for a quick update and all that, wondering, like, people, what exactly is Ankhseram? Just, I know quite a lot of people don't know exactly what it is. They're more relatable to its curse itself that was given to both Mavis and Zeref. Ankhseram is pretty much the god of death. That's pretty much entirely what he is. And 400 years ago, Ankhseram cursed Zeref Dragneel with the contradictory curse as a punishment for trying to devise a way to bring back his brother Natsu back to life. Mavis was ultimately as well cursed by this as well, since she used the black magic of law to save Yuri's life during the entire Fairy Tail Zero arc. Since she wouldn't be able to age anymore, and the more things she loved pretty much made her, like, kill things. We've seen, like, the contradictory curse work a number of times in the series, and maybe this is something that, you know, Zeref actually used, because the question is, like, every time that we've ever seen, like, Ankhseram, and clearly it's shown as well that what Mavis did is that she dabbled her hands in black magic and stuff that wasn't even fully ready yet, and that was able to turn her pretty much immortal. Same thing could be said with Zeref. Zeref was tampering with the dark arts, anything to revive his brother, he just didn't care. And that's what happened to him. And I'm generally thinking, whatever that, especially Zeref used to revive his brother, is probably something maybe of Ankhseram to actually prove that he was alive, that he was a real creature being in together. And if anything, what would like something like the thing of death especially be in this series? Well, it would be one of the original demons from what we've seen. We know Zeref was able to create demons, but maybe this was the pure original demon, and a lot of people are suggesting that maybe this is one of the final villains inside the actual Fairy Tail series itself, since Ankhseram is something that's been slightly mentioned throughout the series, like every so now and often in the series. The question is, though, we just know so little about Ankhseram at the moment, so it's generally such a very small speculation, like very small tiny tidbit, and we honestly have to wait until who knows when the next chapter is actually going to tell us about this stuff with Ankhseram, whether or not it is Ankhseram or the second option that could actually possibly be. Zeref Dragneel has associated with 3 certain people that we know about during the time that could actually have some sort of relation, and one of them completely ruling out is Anahaphilia. I don't think she has anything to do, or that is exactly what is inside of Natsu. But what is the one other person in, like, especially Zeref has, like, iterated and also as well interacted with in the series, and that's Acnologia. Acnologia was alive during the same time as Zeref, and we all know as well exactly how he got his powers by teaching the Dragon Slayer magic and pretty much bathed in blood. We still don't really know the story, like the full story on Zeref and Acnologia, why exactly they hate each other so goddamn much. And maybe Acnologia at some point made a deal with Zeref. Maybe Zeref was one of the guys that's saying, I'm going to give you power, like unmeasurable power. You're going to become a Dragon Slayer. You can kill dragons. You can do this. Like, since we never really saw the first person that actually teach them, maybe like Zeref was behind that. Something like, I'm going to teach you this in return. Give me some of your like DNA. Maybe it's something special. Maybe you was inherently always this strong. Acnologia, I find it like, especially that we don't know a lot about Acnologia. Then again, the biggest like hole, especially in this theory that I've been coming up with, is, well, clearly, like, E.N.D. Aetherius Natsu Dragneel is made out of something demonic. Like, it's clearly, like, we've seen, like, the transformation coming up where he just had this demonic looking face and these claws and arms, and, like, it also was looking, like, dragonized as well. That was the biggest question, though, where it's like, if that's the case, then, like, it's got human and then dragon DNA, then where does the demon part to it? And the only explanation that we can really have is that, like, Zeref put a lot of things into Natsu. Part demon, part, like, human, dragon, all of this DNA, and if anything, the two possible candidates, exactly what that is, though, with the more positive option at the moment, is definitely, from what we've seen so far, I definitely am going with the Ankhseram, that maybe he actually did get, like, part of the Ankhseram that was able to revive Natsu in some sort of way. Because it would make sense if this god is actually part demon, or he is one of the original, like, demons that we know. Since every time that we've ever heard of Ankhseram is that he is pretty much the god of death. But then again, I feel like Acnologia still has a bigger part to play in the story. I don't think he is just the giant monster of death that he is, and definitely has a sort of relationship with Ankhseram and definitely Acnologia, because both of them just bring death and suffering wherever they go. But if people don't know, and especially with the Ankhseram one, I'm going to leave you off with this, and this is especially something as well which was thanks to the Fairy Tale Wiki as well, that might relate a lot to Ankhseram as general, is what his actual name means. It has a representation of, like, Egyptian inside of it, which with the Ankh part is actually referring to and means life, where Ankhseram, like, is a Malay and it's Indonesian word for horror. And what do we normally like derive from that when we think of horror? We think of demons, we think of monsters, dragons, we think of, like, horrible, like, amalgamations of creatures and life. Well, we think of resurrection, rebirth, you know, newborn, like light, like you think of all this stuff during life, and that could be a huge goddamn clue that we've been actually looking at for the longest time with Natsu and his origins and everything that we need to know about him. And goddamn, there's a lot of stuff to be said in Fairy Tale very soon. I'm very curious to see which side people are going to be on. Do you actually think it's Ankhseram itself? He's actually got a part of the Ankhseram god inside of him. That's why maybe, like, Natsu was able to be revived itself and using the Curse of Contradiction. And this is why Zeref in the first place got cursed, because he used something that was part of Ankhseram itself, and that's what you get. Same thing could be said with what Mavis did. Maybe he probably used, like, an unused, like, you know, untampered magic that he wasn't, like, fully mastered with, and that's what messed him up. Remember that, like, the person that taught Mavis was Zeref, so it pretty much was passed down to from Ankhseram down to Zeref, and Zeref passing it down to Mavis. Other than that, I am goddamn excited for, like, the next chapters to come of Fairy Tale. I really want to see it. They've been dropping a lot of breadcrumbs and very interesting things with a lot of the characters, with Lakati Dragneel, Irene Basilian, and adding into more with Natsu E.N.D. We just seen that stuff. And we've been getting some real good relationships up with Natsu and Lucy, and also Gray and Julia, Gargiel and Levi. And now, one of the next things we're going to be talking about that is definitely now what exactly is inside Natsu's Dragneel's body. And if anything, it could be between the two choices of Ankhseram and especially Acnologia. That's all from me, so thank you much for watching. Always, you love Fairy Tales as much as I do. You know, hit that like, you know, hit that subscribe. That's all from me. I'll see you guys, though, next time.